What's up, party people? Happy Thanksgiving weekend and welcome to Stoniecast number 81 and season 3, episode 14 of Thoughts and Hunches, making money in bunches and sucker punches. It's your boy Stony back on Stony Giving Weekend for the 81st time, and I'd like to welcome all of my fellow hoodlums, cheats, lowlifes, hustlers, scumbags, altar boys with unhealthy relationships with their priests, foul-mouthed and abusive, having raging alcoholics, fienders and degenerates. If you're new to the show, welcome. And you probably fit into one of those categories. But welcome, and make sure to hit the subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner so you can be notified every time I put out a new video. It's usually on Friday evening, unless otherwise noted, like tonight. Super Bowl 57. Trip to Las Vegas. Yes, this year's Super Bowl is in Glendale, Arizona, but I'm putting together a crew of fienders and degenerates to travel to Las Vegas for the weekend. That means the day before the Super Bowl will be an entire day of bad decisions and unsavory activity at the Westgate Superbook. Yes, reply to this video or contact me directly for info. Now, as far as last week, dude, we're right in the middle. Before I get to last week, we're right in the middle of Feast Week. It doesn't get any better than this. I'm watching the Battle for Atlantis right now, Butler in Tennessee. This is freaking awesome, right? And the winner of this game will play tomorrow, and I'll get to that later. But, yeah, anyway, the Feast Week. Feast Week! Love it. Anyway, last week, right? Where was I? We wound up on Friday. We wound up going 4-4, 3-4 in hoops, and 1-0 in college football. Right? Saturday rolled around, and after a smoking hot start had us 10-2. We were counting money with our tongues, but a 9-game losing streak. Yes, I said 9-game losing streak left us 10-11 in college football, which is really disappointing considering where we started. College hoops on Saturday, we managed 6-5, so we were hovering way too close to 500 heading into Sunday. We went 4-4 in the first session, and I was ready to start breaking things because the gravitational pull of the 500 record was just too much to bear. But I managed to pull it together and rip off the last 4 games on Sunday, including the Sunday night game, to basically make our week a winning one, right? Even though we lost Monday night. I also came up with a new saying to add to my ending each week, and it was never more true than last week. You can't go broke taking a profit. Here are the numbers. Last week, 25 wins, 21 losses, 54%. Whatever, we'll take it. It's a winner. It's a profit. NCAA football last week, 10-11. That means for the season, 138 wins, 81 losses, 5 pushes, good for 63.01% as we head into the last regular season game, last regular season week of the NCAA season with conference championships next week. NFL last week, 8-5. We're starting to move back up as we were under 52% there for a while. So 8-5 last week puts us 84 wins, 71 losses, 3 pushes for the season. That's 53.85%. We're getting there. NCAA basketball last week, 7-5. What are you going to do? 26-12 on the season, though. 68.42% and a red-hot start in college hoops. So overall, all the picks, including MLB playoffs, everything that I've given you so far, 258 wins, 172 losses, and 8 pushes. That's good for just under 60%, 59.94%. We're going to get to 60% this week. And away we go with college football on Thanksgiving Day, Stony Giving Day. There's only one game tomorrow, and it should be a good one, as Ole Miss and Mississippi State meet at the Grove in Oxford for the annual Golden Egg Bowl. Ole Miss is a 2.5-point favorite in Lane Kiffin and Mike Leach's third Egg Bowl each. The Rebels have won the last 2, And with State 7-4 and Ole Miss 8-3, the winner will feel a hell of a lot better heading off to their bowl games after both of them have struggled down the stretch. The question is, will Lane Kiffin stay in Oxford or head to Auburn? As of right now, he's staying. Nobody seems to know. The Rebels have lost 3 out of 4, and the Bulldogs have lost 3 out of 5. I'm going to take Ole Miss and lay the short number to kick off our week. Don't sleep on Black Friday, though, because every year it's chock full of good matchups in college hoops and football. Sticking with football, we're going to start in Austin at noon Eastern. The 6-5 Baylor takes on 7-4 Texas, where the Horns are an 8.5-point chalk. The number 23 Longhorns still have a shot at the Big 12 title game with some help, but must win at home. Baylor continues to shit all over themselves this year, and that won't change Friday as Texas gets the win, but not the cover. Give me Baylor plus the points. Also at noon Eastern on Friday, a great AAC, American Athletic Conference matchup takes place in the Queen City, about 5 hours north of here, as number 19 Tulane takes on number 24 Cincinnati, with the Bearcats a slight 2-point favorite. The winner is going to host the AAC Conference Championship, and assuming Central Florida beats South Florida, which they will, the loser will not play in the title game because both schools have lost to UCF. Since he's won 34 straight at Nippert Stadium, and with or without banged up starting quarterback Ben Bryant, I still like the Bearcats here. Lay 'em. Rivalry week continues at 3 Eastern as 3-8 Arizona State beats 4-7 Arizona in Tucson for the Territorial Cup. Get ready for these great names coming at you. Neither school has had a good season, and neither is headed for a bowl, but this is about pride, even though each team has dropped 4 out of 5. Zona's a 4-point home favorite, and State will be looking for a new head coach after firing Herm Edwards earlier this year. State's a better team, but Zona has looked better recently. Jacob DeLora getting it done. So I'm going to take the Wildcats and lay the number. Number 17, North Carolina hosts 7-4 NC State at 3:30 Eastern with the Tar Heels a 6.5-point favorite. State does it with a very good defense, something UNC doesn't believe in. Mac Brown, no. The 9-2 Heels are already set to take on Clemson in next week's ACC title game, and despite last week's hiccup in a loss to Georgia Tech, I still like the Heels to get back on track here behind freshman sensation quarterback Drake May, who you may not have heard of, but hey, he's a guy you're going to hear of. He's a freshman, and he's put up huge numbers for a freshman. He will be a Heisman favorite next year. I'll take the Heels to win a surprisingly easy one here. At 4 Eastern in Iowa City. Iowa City. Wave to the hospital. Iowa City. 3-8 Nebraska is a 10.5-point underdog against 7-4 Iowa. Somehow the Hawkeyes have won 7 games despite their offense being a literal laughingstock, but it's a testament to Kirk Ferentz's leadership. The Huskers have been a train wreck all season, but we'll cover this number because Iowa shouldn't be favored over anyone by double digits. At 4:30 Eastern, number 18 UCLA is a 10-point road favorite in Berkeley against 4-7 Cal. The Bruins blew their shot at a Pac-12 title game against Oregon in a disappointing loss to USC last week, in which summed up quarterback Dorian Robinson's career. Flashes of very good, but can't deliver in the clutch. Bruin fans, such as myself, can't wait to see him graduate, even though he's 37 years old. The good news for UCLA Friday is that the Golden Showers of Cal are just plain awful. Take the Bruins and lay them. 7:30 Eastern on Friday night in Tallahassee, 6-5 Florida meets number 16 Florida State in a bitter rivalry that will not be played on Saturday for the first time since 1958. The Noles have been a pleasant surprise at 8-3 and are a 9.5-point home chalk at Doak Campbell against the struggling Gator squad that lost to Vanderbilt last week. The Gators are better than that, and while they won't win this one, 9.5 points are a lot to lay in a rivalry that has unusual twists and turns every year. Florida plus the points. At 10 Eastern on Friday, Fresno State is a 15-point home favorite over Wyoming in a battle of 7-4 Mountain West squads. Only a Fresno State loss will prevent them from meeting Boise State in next week's conference title game. The Bulldogs found their offense and have ripped off 6 straight wins, while the Cowboys gave Boise all they could handle last week before falling short. Both teams are playing really well right now at the time that they both need to be playing really well. Fresno does it with offense, Wyoming with defense. I'll take the defense in all 15 of those points. Moving on to Saturday now at noon Eastern. Number 8 Clemson is a 14-point home favorite over surprising 7-4 South Carolina. In a series that dates back to 1896, Clemson has won 7 straight and will be meeting North Carolina in the ACC title tilt next week, while USC is coming off their most impressive win of the season, a 63-28 beatdown of then number 5 Tennessee last week. Clemson wins with their defense, but I love those points. Give me the road dog. At noon Eastern on Saturday, the game of the week, or season, is actually the game. No analysis here. Number 2 Ohio State has been waiting for this day ever since losing to current number 3 Michigan last year at the Big House. Ohio State's a 7.5-point favorite. Enjoy it while it's here. With USC and UCLA set to join the Big Ten and the conference likely doing away with the divisional format, and the CFP expanding 12 games, Michigan and Ohio State could meet in the game, again in the conference title game, and then again in the CFP. They could meet 3 times. It's possible. Take the Buckeyes here and lay the lumber. Buckeyes win easily. At noon Eastern on Saturday, top-ranked Georgia hosts Georgia Tech in the rivalry that's called Clean Old-Fashioned Hate. Love that name. The great name for a rivalry. Clean Old-Fashioned Hate. The 114th edition, the Bulldogs are 35.5-point favorites because under Kirby Smart, Georgia's 4-1 versus Tech, and their average margin of victory is 36. I'll take the Yellow Jackets here with the 6 touchdowns. At 3 Eastern in Lexington, 6-5 Kentucky is a 3-point favorite over number 25 Louisville in the battle for the Governor's Cup. UK has dropped 3 out of 4, while Louisville has won 4 out of 5. The Cats hung with top-ranked Georgia last week, but their offense has been unable to get on track for weeks now, and it won't be any easier against Louisville's defense. I like the Cards here, plus the field goal. Wake Forest heads to Durham to take on Duke at 3:30 Eastern, with Wake set as a 3.5-point road chalk. Both schools have fared well and are bowl-bound, as both are 7-4. Duke's 3-game win streak ended last week and lost to Pittsburgh, while Wake's 3-game losing streak came to an end in a win over Syracuse. Those losses, though, coincided with Sam Hartman's health. I like the way Duke has played lately, though, so give me the Blue Devils outright at home. 3:30 Eastern in Bloomington, 7-4 Purdue is a 10.5-point favorite over 4-7 Indiana in the battle for the old Oaken bucket. Yeah, baby. The Hoosiers knocked off Michigan State last week to halt a 4-game losing streak, while Purdue's won 2 straight. The Spoilermakers mantra only works when they're dogs. I'll take the Hoosiers and the number at home. College football's longest-running rivalry takes place in Madison, Madtown, at 3:30 Eastern, as 7-4 Minnesota and 6-5 Wisconsin meet for the 132nd time in the battle for Paul Bunyan's axe. Whiskey's a 3.5-point favorite and have won 3 out of 4, while Minnesota's 3-game win streak was snapped by Purdue last week. I like the Gophers here in Madtown with the points. Also at 3:30 Eastern in Corvallis, Oregon and Oregon State meet up in what I will still call the Civil War, though the snowflakes won't allow it anymore because you can't say Civil War. Number 9, Oregon, is a 3-point favorite and has a date with USC all set for next week's Pac-12 title game with a win over number 21 State. The Beavers' resurgence this year has a lot to do with the fact that they're just as tough at Reser Stadium as Oregon is at Outson. OSU's defense is legit, and they're going to throw the Pac-12 chase into a complete uproar with a win here. Give me the Beavers at home, possibly outright. Don't be afraid to take them on the money line. The Iron Bowl takes place in Tuscaloosa, and it might have lost some of its luster this year. But at 3:30 Eastern, number 7 Alabama is a 22-point favorite over 5-6 Auburn. The Tigers need a win to become bowl eligible, and since that's off the table, it's not going to happen. And the rumors of Lane Kiffin swirling. The question is to whether or not Bama can cover the big number at Bryant-Denny. I say yes, because right now Bama is undervalued and Auburn still sucks. At 4 Eastern at State College, 5-6 Michigan State tries to become bowl eligible against number 11 Penn State. The 9-2 Nittany Lions' only 2 losses were to Michigan and Ohio State, but have been crushing everyone else. That continues Saturday because Michigan State's got everybody suspended. PSU cruises and covers the 18 points easily. At 7:30 Eastern in La La Land, number 15 Notre Dame takes on number 6 USC with lots at stake for the Trojans. SC's a 5.5-point favorite, can score in bunches, and have the probable Heisman Trophy winner and quarterback Caleb Williams. The problems for SC are their own lack of defense at all, and that Notre Dame has a very good defense and have quietly ripped off 5 straight, all in blowout fashions. I love the Irish here, plus the points and the money line. At 8 Eastern, 6-5 Kansas and number 12 Kansas State meet in the Sunflower Showdown with the 8-3 Wildcats, a 12-point home favorite. KU's dropped 4 out of 5, while State has won 3 out of 4. As much as I like double-digit dogs in rivalry games, K-State in the Little Apple of Manhattan are tough and should have no trouble scoring on KU's suspect defense. Lay 'em all day. At 10:30 Eastern, number 13 Washington takes on 7-4 Washington State in the 114th Apple Cup. UW is a short 2-point favorite over the Cougs and can sneak into the Pac-12 championship with a win and an Oregon loss in the Civil War. The Huskies, who've won 5 straight, have a problem against red-hot Wazoo squad right here that brings it defensively. I like the Cougs to get it done in the cold, shitty weather and win this one straight up. Finally, this week's Degenerate Special is in Silicon Valley. At 6-5, BYU's a 6.5-point favorite over 3-8 Stanford. God, what happened to these 2 great, storied, traditional programs? Ugh. Both schools have had rough seasons, and Stanford's came to a head in last week's big game when they gave away a late lead in a loss to Cal. David Shaw is already looking towards next season, while Kalani Sitake wants his Cougars to end the season strong before they go bowling next month. I'll take BYU and lay the lumber to close out a really good last week of the regular season. Moving on to the NFL now. We'll start tomorrow on Thanksgiving at 12:30 Eastern. At 7-3 Buffalo is a big 9.5-point road favorite over 4-6 Detroit. We've seen the Lions year after year get blown out on Thanksgiving, and they will lose again tomorrow, but this time they'll cover the big number because Buffalo doesn't cover. Game 2 on Stony Giving is at 4:30 Eastern at Jerry's World in Arlington as the Cowboys and Giants renew pleasantries as both squads are 7-3. Dallas is overvalued after their blowout win in Stoneyappolis last week, while New Jersey is undervalued after getting upset by Detroit. At 9.5, the boys can cover this number and should at home, so we'll take them and we'll lay them. Dem boys. The nightcap on Thursday on Stony Giving is a good matchup as 6-4 New England takes on 8-2 Minnesota. The Pats struggled but toughed out a win Sunday over the Jets, while Minnie was blown out at home by Dallas. Everyone saw that, and now they will pounce on the Vikings. Not me. Vikings dropped 2 straight, and Bill Belichick shows once again that he's the man. Give me the Patsies on the money line. Moving on to Sunday at 1 Eastern, 5-5 Tampa Bay heads to Cleveland as 3.5-point road favorites against the 3-7 Brownies. Have the Bucs really found a running game? If so, they're dangerous. The Brownies get Deshaun Watson back next week, but this one could go either way. I like the Browns as the home dog because I still don't trust the Bucs. So give me the Brownies. At 1 Eastern, a rematch of last year's AFC playoff and a possible preview of this year's AFC playoff takes place once again right here in Music City, USA, as 7-3 Tennessee hosts 6-4 Cincinnati. The Bengals, who beat Tennessee last year in the playoffs, come in as a short 1.5-point road favorite as the Titans continue to be undervalued. The Bengals are nice and they're playing well, but the Titans have covered 8 straight and are 7-1 straight up in those 8 games. So as much as I like the Bengals, I gotta roll with the Titans. Stay with the hot hand and get that chicken dinner. 1-8-1 Houston heads to South Beach at 1 Eastern to challenge the 7-3 Dolphins. Miami's a big 13-point favorite and will cruise here, but not by 2 touchdowns. I like the Texans on the road. The 3-8 Bears head to Snoopyville to take on the New Jersey Jets at 1 Eastern, with the Jets installed as a 6-point favorite. Justin Fields is hurt, and Zach Wilson got benched. The Jets' defense is going to be the deciding factor here, especially if Fields can't go, which right now is up in the air. I like the Jets at home, so I'm going to lay them. 5-6 in Atlanta versus 6-5 Washington at 1 Eastern in our nation's capital could and should and will be a snooze fest. The Commando Skins are 4.5-point favorites, and they keep winning despite how badly Tyler Heineke's been. The Falcons' defense is worrisome, but they run the ball very well. Right now, it doesn't matter. What did I say about the Titans? Roll with the hot hand? Give me the Commando Skins. Oh shit, did I just say snooze fest? How about Denver versus Carolina? Ouch, it just hurts me to say that. Each team has only 3 wins and lots of problems. Denver's a 2-point road favorite, and I'll take the Broncos based on their defense alone. At 1 Eastern in Jacksonville, 7-3 Baltimore is a 4-point favorite, road favorite, over 3-7 Jacksonville. The Ravens are the Ravens, with lots of defensive issues, and Jayville, despite their shitty record, haven't been nearly as bad, especially offensively. I like the Jags plus the points at home. At 4 Eastern in the Valley of the Sun, we got the 5-5 Chargers as a short 3-point chalk against the 4-7 Cardinals. Kyler Murray versus Justin Herbert. Last year, this would be a great matchup. Not so much now, especially with Kyler Murray banged up and the Chargers struggling. As the Chargers slowly get healthy, though, they'll get a few more W's, including Sunday. I like the Bolts on the road. And also at 4 Eastern, the 3-7 Raiders head to the Pacific Northwest to take on the 6-4 Seahawks. Las Vegas came from behind to win in overtime over Denver last week and maybe gave the Raiders some confidence, but I just have to take Seattle here, coming off the bye week especially. At 4:25 Eastern at Arrowhead, the 8-2 Chefs are a massive 15.5-point favorite over the 3-7 Rams. I've said it since last year, the Rams are the most fraudulent Super Bowl champion ever. But the Chiefs have a tough time covering numbers. They just do. They got backdoored again last week. Stafford isn't going to go, hence the 15.5. I'll regret it, but I'll take the Chefs and I'll lay the wood. At 4:25 Eastern in Silicon Valley, the 4-7 Saints come to town to take on the 6-4 49ers. New Orleans is a disaster and are worse away from the Big Easy. The 9.5-point favorite Niners have had issues covering as a favorite, but they did it with ease on Monday night. And even off a short week, I like SF because I can't in good conscience take Andy Dalton against that 49er defense, which has not allowed any points in the second half of the last 3 games. You're going to win a lot of games by doing that. At 8:20 Eastern at the Link in Stoniecast, the 9-1 Eagles are a 6.5-point favorite over the 4-7 Packers. Yeah, the Packers are done. I said that a couple weeks ago. And the Eagles don't cover as much as a 9-1 team should. And as much as I hate to do it, I'm going to take the Pack with the points because they're more dangerous as dogs. They won't cover as favorites, but they will cover as dogs. At 4-6-1, the Colts host the 3-7 Steelers on Monday night, with Indy being a short 2.5-point favorite. The Steelers are showing flashes of who they will become next year or the year after, but their defense has been a sore spot. I like the Colts right now at home to get it done and close out our week. College hoops, yo! Yeah! Here we go, rapid fire, starting tonight, 8:30 Eastern, 4-1 Utah and 5-0 Mississippi State meet at the Fort Myers Tip-Off Championship, and MSU's a 6.5-point favorite. Both teams squeaked past their opponents in the semis, and as much as I love Ben Howland and believe the Bulldogs will win, I like the Utes to keep it close and cover that number. Also at 8:30 Eastern, number 13 Auburn is a 7.5-point favorite over Northwestern in the Cancun Challenge, as both teams are 5-0. Auburn wins, but Northwestern covers. Butler's out to an early 15-9 lead over Tennessee, just in case you were wondering. 3-1 Washington and 1-3 Fresno State meet at the Wooden Legacy, with UW as a short 2.5-point favorite. The Huskies are too deep, though Fresno is very talented. I like the Huskies. In the third place game of the Maui Invitational at 10 Eastern tonight, number 17 San Diego State is a 1.5-point favorite over number 9 Arkansas. This is a third game in 3 days for both teams, and the depth of the Hogs will be too much for the Aztecs to overcome. Arkansas outright. At 10:30 Eastern tonight, 5-0 UNLV is a short 3.5-point favorite over 4-1 Minnesota in the championship of the SoCal Challenge. I like UNLV this year, and I think they can be a factor in the Mountain West. But Dawson Garcia right now, formerly of Marquette in North Carolina, he's playing out of his mind for many. So I'll take the Gophers and the points. 5-0 St. Mary's is an 8.5-point favorite over 2-2 Vanderbilt in the Wooden Classic in Anaheim at midnight Eastern tonight. The Gales are red hot and are one of the best coached teams in the nation, as Randy Bennett never seems to get enough credit. Jerry Stackhouse counters for Vandy, and I'm going to roll with the Gales, laying the big number here. Just have to. Moving on to tomorrow, on Stony Giving, we'll get an early start at 11 a.m. Eastern as 1-4 Florida State meets 2-2 Siena in the ESPN Events Invitational. The Noles are a hefty 9-point favorite, even though they've played like shit so far. And because of that, I'll take the Saints with the points. You're going to start seeing a trend here. At 1 Eastern at the Moda Center in Portland, top-ranked North Carolina is a 14.5-point favorite over 4-2 Portland in the Phil Knight Invitational. Phil Knight, CEO Nike. God, more money than God. He has his own basketball tournament now. 16 teams, a lot of games here you're going to hear coming up in the Phil Knight Invitational. This is UNC's first trip away from Chapel Hill this year, and they travel cross-country to do it. I like the Heels to win, but I like the dangerous Pilots to cover that number at home. 2-2 Stanford and 4-0 Ole Miss meet in Kissimmee, Florida at the ESPN Events Invitational, with the Rebels as a short 1-point favorite. I like Stanford here a lot to hand Ole Miss their first loss of the season. Number 8 Duke meets 3-1 Oregon State at 3 Eastern in the first round of the Phil Knight Invitational, with Duke as a 21-point favorite. This is a dangerous Duke team that's going to surprise many at how good they'll be without Mike Krzyzewski on the bench. But they won't cover here. They'll win easily, but the Beavers get the cover. 2-2 Villanova is a 2.5-point chalk against 3-0 Iowa State at 3:30 Eastern in the Phil Knight. Nova is much more talented, and while the number seems low, a lot of that is the Wildcats still learning to play without Jay Wright on their bench. They'll get it done tomorrow, and they'll win fairly easily, though. At 5:30 Eastern in the Phil Knight, Xavier is a 1.5-point favorite over Florida in a battle of 3-1 teams. Sean Miller is going to rebuild Xavier once again, just like he did last time and just like he did in Arizona before he unceremoniously had to leave. Florida doesn't have the horses here, so I'll roll with the Musketeers. Number 20, UConn's a 3.5-point chalk over 2-2 Oregon in the Phil Knight at 8 Eastern tomorrow night. Oregon will have the home crowd behind them, and UConn came a long way, but UConn has the horses, and they are loaded, and it will win this one going away. At 10 Eastern in the Phil Knight, number 24 Purdue is a 2-point favorite over 4-0 West Virginia. Matt Painter versus Hall of Famer Bob Huggins, great coaching matchup here. I like Huggy Bear here, plus the short number. At 10:30 Eastern in the Phil Knight, number 18 Alabama, number 12 Michigan State square off with the Tide as a 3.5-point favorite. This is a good matchup. I like the Tide a lot in the SEC, but Sparty is Sparty, and Tom Izzo is a tough son of a bitch, and his teams play with an attitude. Just think of Draymond Green. Every single player who's ever gone to Michigan State has Draymond's attitude. Why? Because it all comes from Izzo. I'll take State plus the points. Finally, at midnight Eastern tomorrow, number 6 Gonzaga faces 2-2 Portland State. And the Zags are a huge 27.5 point favorite. Sorry, Zags, you get the win, but not the cover here as the Vikings cover that big chunk. And just so I don't leave you feeling unsatisfied, as my boy Teddy KGB would say, there are more games at the Battle for Atlantis and the Wooden Legacy tomorrow, with the numbers not posted yet because Butler and Tennessee are playing in the Battle for Atlantis, but they're also going to play tomorrow against different teams, right? So anyway, the number's not posted, so if you check in on Thanksgiving morning or Stony Giving morning tomorrow, read the comments section of this video, and I'll add more college hoops as there are a ton of good matchups going on to make money while everyone else is concentrating on the NFL. For now, I've given you 23 college football plays, all 16 NFL games, and 16 more college hoops matchups with more to come tomorrow. But that's 55 picks for Stony Giving because Stony is in a giving mood. It's what I do. Don't forget that. When all is said and done, there's going to be about 60 plays, all for free, because I'm such a nice guy. So let's go big this week. And remember that if you want to win big, you got to bet big. You can't go broke taking a profit. Scared money don't make money. For me, the action is the juice. There's money on the streets that can't be ignored. And finally, good luck to you.